Good evening, my friends. This is Paul. This is recorded quite a bit after the rest of this video, as evidenced by the fact that I am recording inside a proper bedroom for a change, so hopefully that'll eliminate some background noise, and a bit of new information has come about. So throughout this video, I'm trying to make a case about why you should consider renting instead of just paying Nintendo's ridiculous prices, especially for their Switch 2 games. And in the video, I stated that at the time of the recording, GameFly did not have Switch 2 games available for rental. Well, they have since updated their website, and not only do they now have Switch 2 games for rental, but they also have Switch 2 editions, which have been confirmed to have the updates on the card itself, so you won't have to pay for the separate upgrade pack if you just rent them from GameFly, and games that are on game key cards. So for example, Hogwarts Legacy and Rito Remastered are also rentable. So that makes my case even stronger. So with that, hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and I don't know about you, but I am beyond excited about the Switch 2. I loved pretty much everything about the Direct. I say pretty much, but we're getting to that. But as for things that I loved, I thought the games looked great, both in terms of graphical fidelity and in terms of I'm excited to play this. I like all the stuff from other systems that are coming over. I love how GameCube games are finally playable, especially Path of Radiance. I wish more people would play that masterpiece, but Nintendo didn't know how to market then. They still don't really know how to market now, but ugh. Especially back then, they didn't really have a YouTube channel or anything like that, so it was even worse. And I'm also excited for some of the stuff that I would have gotten a PS4 for, but didn't, because I thought it was too much of a money investment. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, now that it's handheld and on a Nintendo system, about darn time. That was like the one game that I said, oh, I will absolutely get a PS4 for that. But I never did. Now I can say, oh, well, guess what? I unintentionally prepared myself. But now let's get into what I and a vast majority of the world are complaining about with the Switch 2, and that's everything is so darn expensive. Just to get the base model of the Switch 2, you have to spend $450, and $500 if you want the Mario Kart World bundle. Now, if you get Mario Kart World by itself, it's $80. So technically, you're saving yourself $30 if you get the bundle, but the bundle is a limited time offer, which baffles me because it's like all you're giving the player is a download code for Mario Kart World. It's not like you're putting the game in the box, so why does it have to be a limited time production? Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. The fact is, it's still too expensive, even if you are able to get it. And with games costing $70, $80, some Switch 1 games that are getting Switch 2 edition, such as Breath of the Wild, are going to cost like $90, because for some bizarre reason, Nintendo thought it was a good idea to not include the DLC for Breath of the Wild. So that's an extra $20 if you want the harder difficulty and the Trial of the Sword and the motorcycle. Yeah, people are not made of money, and it is great that we have a lot of third-party options that seem to be making fun of Nintendo in their own sly ways, such as Toby Fox saying, I'm only going to charge $25 for the entirety of Deltarune, all 7 chapters, and I want you to think that we're getting a super, super, super good deal. Or Bandai Namco saying that if you want to upgrade to the Switch 2 edition of Shadow Labyrinth, you can download it for free. Heck, I don't think any of Nintendo's games have done that. Sure, you can get the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom expansions for free, but that's if you have a Switch Online membership. Bandai Namco's like, nah, if you have a Switch 2, just download the upgrade pack for free from the eShop. There you go. So yeah, third-party companies seem to be learning their lesson, but Nintendo isn't. And this is what really bothers me, is I'm the type of person that in my spare time, I like to watch YouTube and I like to gather opinions from other people. I try to keep my own thoughts separate, but sometimes it can be hard to do when you got an entire Treehouse stream where 90% of the comments are drop the price in all capital letters. And from all of the reviews and all of the opinions that I've been watching, there is one thing that all of them have in common, and that's something that not a single person mentioned: renting. Now, to be fair, At the time of this recording, pre-orders still aren't available in America for the Switch 2, so who knows if Nintendo will even allow Switch 2 games to be rentable. But if they are, wouldn't that be a more cost-effective option? Now, some of you might be thinking, no, I'm the type of person that I'm a collector, and I like to be able to own my games. Well, I can't speak for most other rental stores, but for the service I use, GameFly, they do give you the option to keep the game most of the time. Sometimes they'll even let you keep the game at a discounted price. Other times you can buy games directly from their store if you're the type that just needs to buy a game and can't rent it first. You often get discounts on those, and then you get more discounts if you're a loyal customer because they give you coupons. And they sell other stuff too. They got movies, they got toys. I don't know if they have amiibos or not, but they seem to have a lot of Funko figures. And there's multiple different pricing tiers for how many games you want out, if you can get shipping when a game launches on day one. And one thing that I really like about GameFly is that you can rent the games for as long as you want. And then if you like it enough, you can pay a fee to keep it. And again, the fee is usually cheaper than what Nintendo charges. And unlike Nintendo, GameFly will often have the games at lower prices than what Nintendo offers. And even if they don't, it would probably be a good way to not support Nintendo and their ridiculous pricing strategies. Now, I'm not an expert on how much money is going straight to the manufacturer of the game when you're at GameFly, but I would imagine that most of the money that you're paying is going straight to GameFly staff for all the work they are doing to get the games to you. If I had to take a guess based on just sheer reasoning alone, GameFly pays for all of these games for people to rent, but the people are paying them for all the work they are doing in order to get the games and ship them and make sure they're in good condition and keep track of them and all the stuff that has to go into causing people all over the US to be able to rent. So in a way, you're supporting them, but you're not supporting the company. I mean, if you really want to support Nintendo, you can just go to the eShop. But if you don't, I think GameFly might be a viable option. And again, you can keep the games. You can buy them from their store. And you can hold on to the games as long as you want. Heck, you can hold on to multiple games at a time if you want. They have some retro games on their systems. They have a whole shop if you just absolutely need to buy. I wish more people would talk about this, because there's so many people that are making videos about boycotting Nintendo and saying that Nintendo is evil, and then there are some people that say, well, I hate the price that Nintendo is charging for these beloved games, but I'm gonna buy the game anyway. And it's like, why bother buying the game? Why not just rent it? And I have yet to see a good excuse for why people don't rent. A few counterpoints that I have heard that I want to discuss are, renting is not available in my country. Okay, that's fair. If that's really the case, then I do feel sorry for you, but maybe you also just haven't looked into a good enough option. Or maybe, like, in your country, renting is not something that was talked about a lot, so maybe just do some simple research and see, okay, is there a United Kingdom version of GameFly? Is there a Canadian? I think Canada has GameFly. Discussion for another day. Another counterpoint I've heard is GameFly and renting in general is not enough of a mainstream service for people to really know that it exists. And my response to that is, guys, I don't ask for likes or subscriptions in my videos, but for once I'm going to ask that you share this video. Just give it out to whoever you want. And just say, hey, if you are not a huge fan of Nintendo's prices and some other third-party companies that charge $60 for basic games, then say, hey, renting might be a viable option. Choose your pricing tier. Rent the games as long as you want. Rent multiple games. Rent old games. And save yourself some darn money. I think a monthly subscription is probably going to be better for you in the long run. And I feel like if enough people get into the renting train and stop being enablers for Nintendo's behavior, we could potentially see a huge decline in sales, and that might I doubt it, but it might get Nintendo to change their minds. And you might be thinking, Nintendo does not listen to their fans. What are you talking about, Paul? My response to that is Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door got remade on Switch because of a petition. Of course, Nintendo hasn't openly said it, but if you look at the credits of that game and it gets to the special thanks menu, it does say, "and you," in upper caps letters, making me think that's their cheeky way of saying, yeah, hashtag Remaster Thousand Year Door did the job. Xenoblade Chronicles was a game that was infamously denied having an American release by Nintendo of America themselves. But fans got together and they made a petition called Operation Rainfall, where they showed their love of Japanese RPGs. And again, even though Nintendo never officially acknowledged that petition, shortly after that happened, we did end up getting Xenoblade Chronicles, The Last Story, and Pandora's Tower. And now look at how huge of a franchise Xenoblade Chronicles is. And if you want to take it even further, there's the Smash ballot, where Nintendo themselves said, what fighters would you like in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U? And they were also saying Ultimate, but didn't say that at the time. And I said I wanted Banjo and Kazooie in the game. And sure enough, Banjo and Kazooie did in fact get into Ultimate. And after the Smash ballot concluded, Masahiro Sakurai, the game's director, said that they added in Banjo because of the overwhelming support from Western players, and on top of that, he said that they were the number 2 most requested fighters in the world. Obviously Sora was number 1, that's why they saved him for last, but man, does it feel good to say that my opinion as to picking just one person, in this case 2 in 1, that could be in Smash, and that my pick was the number 2 worldwide pick. So those are just 3 examples I listed, 2 of which I was a part of, that Nintendo listened to that got them to change their minds. They did, in fact, make a definitive statement saying, we are not going to bring over Xenoblade Chronicles, but we all know what happened after that. And now it's one of their biggest franchises, and Nintendo today will even ask you if you like Xenoblade Chronicles as one of your favorite franchises. They still haven't said that about Star Fox or Earthbound, to put that into perspective. So, if you want Nintendo to change, start thinking of other options besides buying their games. Heck, if you're the type of person who will defend Scarlet and Violet saying, fundamentally it's a good game, despite the bugs, rent them. I don't think you need to play that game over and over again to enjoy it. Maybe just rent it enough to play it once. That way you're not supporting Game Freak. You're not being an enabler by letting them think, well, people are just going to buy it anyway because they're too stupid to have critical thinking and they're all sheep. Don't be a sheep. Just rent it. And then if you like it enough, just buy it off of GameFly. So there you go. Or you can ask for gift cards for your birthday. There are options for fighting this battle against a corporation. And in the past, they have listened to our responses. And it does seem like they're to a certain extent listening during the Switch 2 presentation, because there have been a few interviews where the interviewers will be relatively blunt and say things like, why is Mario Kart World $80? And they're like, well, you'll just have to wait and see until the Direct. So clearly they're making an effort to explain themselves, even if I think their reasoning is terrible. But if enough people get onto the trend of finding alternate ways to play their games, then maybe we can still enjoy the hard work that Nintendo's developers do, because they're the innocent ones here. They're just trying to make fun games. It's the corporate overlords that are charging these ridiculous prices and making you pay $60 for new Super Mario Bros. U. Should be a criminal offense. But we still want to support the people that made the games and tried to make them as fun, accessible, and polished as possible. And by renting, you can enjoy those developers' works and then make a YouTube video or talk about it with your friends and get the word out that these are amazing games without letting Nintendo get big-headed and say, see, we have a bunch of sheep as our fan base. They'll just buy our games no matter what because they got no other options. And you might be thinking that I'm endorsing piracy, but no, I am very much not doing that. as far as I'm aware, rental is still within the confines of the law. I think if it wasn't, then I don't think GameFly would exist, because a lot of times in the past, they won't have Nintendo games right away. And I've written to customer support saying, hey, why is Endless Ocean Luminous not rentable? And they said, we have to get approval straight from the publisher. So there you go. If you haven't listened to a single other argument I've made in this video, Nintendo themselves have to approve of their own games being on GameFly. And most of their games have been on GameFly in the past. Except for their budget titles on the eShop like Kirby's Dream Buffet. But games that Nintendo's published that I've been able to rent that are $60, another Code Recollection, that was $60, I rented that. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, that was $50, rented that. Endless Ocean Luminous, $60. Princess Peach Showtime, $60. You get the pattern here, and in the case of Princess Peach Showtime, I did end up buying it from GameFly, and I think I also got it for $14 by saving up a bunch of coupons. So you could be cost effective, just pick the tier you want, and it doesn't have to be GameFly, it could be the library, it could be whatever your region's equivalent of Blockbuster is, but think of legal ways to fight this battle, and maybe we'll be the next Martin Luther King Jr. and create some change in the gaming world. Now, whether it works on other developers besides Nintendo, I don't know. But at least people like Toby Fox are listening and are willing to give us good deals because they realize that the content of the game will make people buy more of a cheap game, and that's how you'll make a profit. So with that, thank you very much for watching, my friends. Let me know in the comment section if you feel like you're going to try renting now, and maybe also let me know if you end up sharing this video so that I can feel like this message is reaching more than my very small viewer base at the moment. Who knows? Hopefully this video can be as popular as the 3DS one. Yes, that's a good message, but I feel like this is a pretty good message as well. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!